Hello, everybody. Aleya here and Doug, and we are going to be diving into the topic of what happens when you get frustrated because there are not outer changes in your life. Your life is filled with challenges, frustration, confusion. You've done all of this inner work inside yourself. How much longer you feel like nothing is ever enough and you're frustrated. So we're going to be talking about the outer and the inner energetic practices and concepts, beliefs, activities, behavior that you can start engaging in to break this cycle. And Doug is going to take the lead.
The issue for me is in looking at so many people who are unhappy in their lives. And this is a stressful time. We've got a war going on in Europe. We've got an economy that is anybody's guess. High inflation, stock market's going down, prices are going up, shortages. So our gasoline is very expensive, especially here in California. I'm seeing the same economic conditions now that we saw then. And in '87, we saw the biggest stock market crash since 1929. And one day the stock market lost 30% of its value. So it's funny how history seems to repeat itself. And we're going through the same process again. But how do you manage all of that at an individual level? For many people who, of course, did not live through those days, this is all new and it's tumultuous and chaotic and confusing and exhausting. And the conclusion that I've come to is that best way to find happiness, even in chaos and confusion, is to find meaning in life. And the best way to find meaning in life, in my experience, is to learn how to serve others. And I'm not talking about some grand project like Mother Teresa's project in India or anything huge like that. I'm talking about just making it a practice to be a service to others. The way you can do that is think about what your passions are. So for example, maybe you're a musician and maybe not a very good musician, but you can play music and entertain people. And maybe you play at a senior center, or maybe you just go to a park and play in a park and play with whoever is walking by, or maybe you go busking out on the street corner. And maybe you busk for money and maybe you don't. But as you play, think about how you're serving the people as they walk by. Even if they're not stopping, at least they're hearing you and you're lightening their day a little bit. Same thing if you're a singer. Or if you're an artist, create beautiful art for people to appreciate. One of the easiest ways to create meaning by serving others is learning how to listen other people into existence. Learning how to emotionally validate. What I've learned in the last 15 years that I've been teaching people these skills is that when they learn how to validate another person's emotion, that person who is validated is deeply grateful. And you make them feel heard in a way they've never heard before. And that is doing great service to another person. And it costs you nothing. It's free. It's effortless. And there you are serving humanity. You're dropping a pebble into the pond of peace. And the ripples flow out from that every single day. You listen another person into existence. And the more you focus on serving others, the more happiness you'll find, because the more meaning you'll have in your life. And it doesn't matter what your income level is. It doesn't matter where you live. It doesn't matter whether you've had a difficult life or an easy life. You can still choose to serve. And it doesn't take a lot of energy. And when you do that, things change inside of you, because you see people's eyes light up and they say thank you. And you've made a small difference in a small way, a small of a day for a person. And that sticks with you. And that goodwill is like a bank account. It accumulates over time. And as it accumulates and you continue to serve others in these very small ways, your attitude changes. And yes, the outside is chaotic and confusing and anxiety producing, but inside, you're building a reservoir of resiliency and calm and equanimity that allows you to sail through these crazy times without it upsetting you very much or disturbing you. And I think that's really the secret to why, other than my beautiful wife, Aleya, why I'm so happy, is it took me a long, long, long time to learn that the meaning of life is about service to others. And the more that I serve other people, the happier I become. You know, I'm reading a lot about young people, young adults who are really caught up in the chaos, and it's difficult. Life is difficult for them. The rules don't seem to work anymore, and they don't know where they're fishing or foul, and it's tough. Start learning how to serve at 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. Figure out how to do little tiny acts of service to somebody else or to other people, and make it a habit, and then watch how your life blossoms over a period of time. This is not a quick fix, but it is a sure fix. Aleya?
So I'm going to approach it from a slightly different angle and just kind of recap a little bit. And whenever I'm looking at the energy, I'm really looking at the inner shifts that we need to make in order to create those outer shifts. So just recapping the challenge. The challenge is that you might feel like right now you're in your life and no matter what you do, it's never enough. You don't feel fulfilled. You don't feel like you have purpose and meaning. You feel like you might reach out into the world and you try to do something and you experience another challenge, another difficulty. And so the core aspect of that is this feeling of inadequacy, the not enough inside. And so we bring in that layer that Doug was talking about around service, is we actually stop looking for the fulfillment externally and we explore how we can show up for other people and share information, hold a safe space for them, serve them in whatever way. But then there's the inner practice of we get so focused on the outer world and we think that we're triggered when we're upset and we're not being supported or we're not being respected or we don't feel validated. We don't feel like we are valued in life. Nobody's listening to us, hearing us, getting us, understanding us. We don't feel supported. We don't feel connected. And we keep making it all about this energy, this thing, this relationship, this person, this situation, this scenario, the money, the living situation. We make it all about this thing in the outer world. And so when we put our focus on the outer world, what happens at an energetic level is our creative energy follows where we are holding our focus. So then you start to feel even more depleted and more empty and more frustrated and more unfulfilled. And then you start looking for the fulfillment. If only this would shift in the outer world, then I would have ... And so the major shift, and it's actually a very specific inner practice to do, it's like 3 or 4 steps. The very first step is awareness. Number 1, you're upset by, and then you could even write down your trigger, what your trigger is. And then step 2 is to actually do a mantra, like out loud. And you say, it's actually not about this thing in the outer world. It's not about the relationship. It's not about the money. It's not about my body. It's not about my job or lack thereof, or that I don't feel inspired to be creative. I don't feel motivated. It's actually not about that. And then we go to step 3 and we explore the idea that it's actually about something that you want to shift inside yourself at a vibrational level. And you don't even have to mentally know what that is, which is the lovely thing. But what you're doing is you're using the outer trigger to bring awareness, to then bring awareness inside into the core, which I call the divine line, you, etheric being of light, in your body. And you start exploring what is actually the vibration that you're wanting to shift inside yourself. It has nothing to do with this thing in the outer world. It has to do with an inner vibrational shift. And so when you start learning how to use your energetic fields and the vibration that flows in what I call the divine line of you and your body and the presence around you that I refer to as the team, you're then able to start making that vibrational shift inside. And then as you make that vibrational shift internally, your vibration changes, which means your consciousness changes, your beliefs change, your behaviors change, your emotions change, your thoughts change. You start to feel more fulfilled internally. You start to feel and experience this lovely inner world where the light that flows within you is actually what fulfills you. And then you're ready for the Doug step. Then, because you're so full of this light inside you, you then begin to radiate it, reflect it, model it, and draw opportunities to you and feel called to engage in opportunities that are the reflection of this inner fulfillment. And so then you are fulfilled in everything you do because you are fulfilled by the light within. You are then of service everywhere you go, even at the supermarket, when you're in the checkout line and you look in the eyes of the checker and you're like, thank you. You see their essence and they feel recognized and witnessed and acknowledged. And that is of service. So every single moment of our life becomes a moment of service when you learn how to fill yourself up internally instead of looking for the outer world to fill you. And then you create a life of incredible fulfillment. So those are some concepts. And if you want to dive more into the how-to of the practices, I have a couple courses that I'm actually doing a 3-series course on how to use your energetic fields to shift your consciousness, how to craft energetic protocols that shift your behaviors, your vibration internally. And this 3-series course that I'm teaching starting May 28th, the first course is going to be focused on the manifesting component, energetic protocols for that. The second one is going to be all about the body health, body weight. And then the third one is actually working with your astrological chart. You don't have to be an astrologer. You don't have to know much about astrology, but we're going to be doing energy work with the planets that influence you. And then I also have a course called the Empowered Empath, and it talks about these concepts. And then Doug has an incredible course for emotional competency, listening somebody into existence, learning how to affect label, which gives you all of these incredible tools of being in relationship with other people, communicating with other people, listening to other people in a really beautiful, fulfilling, and profound way. So if any of these resources sound yummy and are feel appropriate for you at this point in time, feel free to check it out. We'll include a link at the bottom of this page.